Have you ever just stopped and wondered why we seem to attract the exact same experiences? Like, why do we date the exact same type of toxic person or make the exact same mistakes, even when we consciously know better? It's incredibly frustrating, right? Well, in this explainer, we are diving into some fascinating source material to see how ancient astrology has been trying to decode this exact psychological dilemma for millennia.
We're going to decode Vedic astrology, which is commonly known as Jyotisha. And hey, don't worry, we aren't looking at this like some mystical crystal ball. Instead, we're treating it as a profound psychological blueprint to help us understand our own unconscious minds. Here is our map for today's journey. We'll start with the mystery of repeating patterns, map the inner world, and look at the planets of the unconscious. Then we'll dive into hidden desires and subconscious houses, explore the timing of the unconscious, and finally, look at how awareness creates meaningful change.
Okay, section 1, the mystery of repeating patterns. We're looking beyond random behavior here. It's a pretty common frustration, right? The sudden realization that our choices aren't actually random at all, but are driven by these hidden inner tendencies. Jyotisha essentially frames these repeating patterns as karmic impressions. It's a Vedic astrological system that goes way beyond just predicting the future. It actively explores karma and deeply rooted psychological habits. These patterns basically operate completely under the radar until life literally forces us to face them head-on. Moving right along to section 2, mapping the inner world. We're looking at the horoscope as a psychological blueprint. We usually think of a birth chart as this magical map of future events, but it's really a symbolic map of your inner world. Just think about it for a second. Our unconscious mind quietly shapes countless decisions that we'd absolutely swear were independent, logical choices. I mean, it influences the whole shebang, from our relationships and career moves to our financial habits and exactly how we react under stress. Our sources point out a really crucial distinction here. Your horoscope isn't actually forcing you to do anything. It simply reflects your pre-existing karmic impressions right back at you. The chart doesn't create your habits. It's literally just holding up a mirror, inviting you to actually observe your own autopilot behaviors. Section 3, planets of the unconscious. Let's illuminate some of those hidden habits. Let's take the moon, for example. In Vedic astrology, the moon governs our instinctive reactions. You know, the stuff that happens before logic even has a chance to kick in. A challenged moon might point to recurring emotional insecurity, or maybe an intense fear of rejection. On the flip side, a strong moon reflects deep emotional resilience. It essentially shows us our immediate unconscious baseline for mental peace. And then we have Saturn. Saturn reveals those deeply rooted insecurities, the areas where we hesitate or feel completely burdened. And what's wild is that these fears often feel completely irrational to us simply because their origins are entirely hidden. Now, Saturn might feel super restrictive at first, but it's actually a huge invitation. By forcing us to sit with that discomfort, it becomes the ultimate source of lasting strength. Together, Rahu and Ketu reveal his absolutely fascinating tug-of-war within our psyche. Rahu is the amplifier. It magnifies hidden desires, obsessions, and pushes us blindly toward unfamiliar, sometimes scary territory. Ketu, however, represents the past. It shows us familiar patterns and emotional detachment that just don't provide lasting fulfillment anymore. They perfectly expose that tension between what the soul already knows and what it desperately craves. That brings us to section 4, hidden desires and subconscious houses, specifically the 8th and 12th houses. These two houses play an incredibly vital role in helping us understand our unconscious patterns. The 8th house governs our hidden emotions, family secrets, trauma, and profound psychological transformation. The 12th house, on the other hand, relates to our dreams, isolation, and spiritual surrender. When someone has strong influences in these houses, the focus of their life often shifts completely away from climbing the corporate ladder and moves toward deep internal healing. Section 5. Timing the unconscious. Let's talk about the activation of dashas. In Jyotisha, timing really is everything. There are these specific planetary periods known as dashas, and they act as purposeful triggers. Have you ever wondered why a random childhood wound or some specific fear suddenly flares up out of absolutely nowhere when you're, say, 35? Well, it's likely because a particular planetary influence has just become active. These aren't random bouts of bad luck. They are literally scheduled opportunities for awareness. Just imagine this cycle for a moment. Let's say a new dasha begins at age 20, quietly activating an unconscious tendency. You probably don't even notice it, but by 30, it peaks into a direct confrontation. Maybe it's a massive career failure, or you find yourself repeating a toxic relationship pattern yet again. But here's the silver lining. By 40, that exact confrontation has provided the awareness you needed for real spiritual growth. Because what remains unconscious controls you, but what becomes conscious, that can be transformed.
Which leads us beautifully into Section 6. Awareness creates meaningful change. This is all about liberation through self-knowledge.
It's really important to note here that Jyotisha doesn't somehow replace modern psychology. Actually, they complement each other beautifully. While psychology explores the what and the how of our thoughts and lived experiences, Jyotisha steps in and adds a symbolic framework that provides the when and the why through karmic timing. And honestly, both systems completely agree on one ultimate truth. Awareness is the absolute catalyst for meaningful change.
By recognizing these tendencies, you start to realize that your birth chart is just a reflection of your habits. It's definitely not a life sentence. The real superpower of astrology is catching yourself in the act. It's noticing, oh wow, I'm seeking approval again, or I'm avoiding responsibility, before you actually repeat the bad habit. Awareness doesn't magically fix the problem overnight, for sure, but it creates this crucial space for you to make a different choice.
And this brings us to the ultimate takeaway from our sources today. Self-knowledge really is the highest wisdom. Our unconscious patterns are not permanent presents. They are invitations to understand ourselves on a deeper level. Every recurring habit, every karmic lesson, it all offers a distinct opportunity for growth, the exact moment it's brought into the light of consciousness.
So, as we wrap things up, I want you to consider how bringing your own unconscious tendencies into the light might just be the key to completely changing your story. The stars do not force the mind to remain unconscious. They simply illuminate the places where your awareness just hasn't reached quite yet. So, I'll leave you with this one question to chew on. What hidden patterns are you ready to eliminate? Thank you so much for exploring with me today. Keep asking those big questions and keep bringing the hidden into the light.